Hypernauts is a Saturday morning action-adventure series for kids, taking a slightly different tack from the norm. One of the things about the Saturday morning shows that are around at the moment is they tend generally to really talk down to kids, and it's been my experience that kids are a lot more intelligent than that. And one of the things that we wanted to do with Hypernauts is to kind of bring up the level a little bit more.
Our story of Hypernauts is basically about 3 teenagers who are cadets from an academy. They're sent out on a routine mission, and the next thing they know, they've accidentally been sent to the very center of the galaxy, the core of the galaxy. There's an enormous enemy called the Triad waiting out there. They have a robot armada with millions of ships, and if they try to go back to Earth, even though they can, they'll lead this enemy back to Earth. They have a base out there and a ship, and so they just explore. The focus of the show is on the characters. We want to see these 3 characters, our Ace, Max, and Sharky characters, and they have to go from being 3 individuals who have never met before to 3 teammates.
Testing, Ace here.
Sharky here.
Max online. Set your light detection sensors to broad array.
My feeling is that Hypernauts is going to be just amazingly different than most of the things you see on Saturday morning for quite a number of reasons. Aside from the fact that it's going to look spectacular and have phenomenal music, I've tried to bring aboard writers that know and love and understand the whole area of fantasy and science fiction.
We knew when we started Hypernauts that we were going to be very severely limited with regard to the budget, and the budget for the show is around about the same as an average animated Saturday morning show. So by utilizing the talents of people like Steve Burg, we've been able to get the production design as an integral unit so that everything works together, but for a very, very low cost.
I think basically the show was on track right from the start. We knew we couldn't fool around, and we knew we didn't have time to thrash around trying to explore for a concept. And conceptually it was as grand and as expansive as anything I've ever been asked to do. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this on any television show. Some of these episodes have close to 100 special effects shots. That's as many as Total Recall had, and that was a $60 million feature.
The thing that's groundbreaking about the visual effects for Hypernauts is that we don't make any distinction between children's television and any other kind of television. It's a combination of computer-generated elements, composited elements. We are making virtual sets that actors move around in. We are doing everything we can to widen the scope of the show.
The sheer volume of computer animation that has had to be done for Hypernauts has required us to make a change in the way in which we do animation.
On Hypernauts, the real big trick has been trying to deliver feature film quality effects on a television schedule. You know, we don't want to compromise the quality of anything, and so we've had to find a way to do better work faster. We've pre-built a library of motions, and so with the robot, you can just load in a Hypernaut walking and position the camera anywhere you like and lights wherever you like, and instantly you have a shot. And each individual animator adds a little bit of personality to it, but at least you don't have to start from scratch every time. Well, one character you're going to see a whole lot of on the show, a real fun guy, is the Gloose. He was initially designed designed by Steve Burg and sculpted by a company called Optic Nerve.
Hey, come back with that!
Where the puppet Gloose is great for close-ups and is very expressive and has a lot of personality, it still can't run around the set. So that's where our computer character comes in. We're able to put it anywhere and have it run and have it interact, and we're actually getting quite close to it too. So it's hopefully will blur the boundary between the computer models and the real puppets in the show.
I think one of the things that we knew going into the show is that the Gloose, anytime you'd see it full figure, it'd be a computer graphic puppet instead of a mechanical puppet, and so that allowed us to basically concentrate on what we thought would be important for more of a close-up head, which is really the face. And the face is where I think 75% or more of the mechanics are really in, is the face and the lips, the eyes, and all that kind of stuff. Especially the eyes. The eyes are very, very expressive. A lot of our pre-production money went into building the Gloose, but we felt that should the show hopefully be a success, we're going to live with this character anyway for 5 or 6 years, so we figured it was worth putting that investment into it. I lucked out in getting a mechanic named Evan Brainerd who worked on Jurassic Park to build the mechanics, and he cut whatever corners he could. He came up with this really great system where he has a radio control that only one person needs to work, and this person can work over 20 different servos with one radio control. He knew the limitations of the show economically, that we couldn't afford to have 6 puppeteers on set, so he was trying to think economically ahead of time how to kind of make this work and get the most of it performance-wise on set.
If you don't drop that in 2 seconds, I'm gonna let Gulai turn you into stew.
I think just the level of quality for a children's show is really, in my opinion, very high. Just when I thought we've gone as far as we can to push the envelope on it, here we are again, pushing it and coming up with more tricks and ways to make it work.
We had limited resources, finite resources in terms of space and in terms of money. The other thing that was very challenging was to make a 30-foot hallway look like it was about 60 feet long. The set for the Star Ranger was conceived sort of like the interior of the superstructure of an oil tanker, where you have this monstrous ship and then the corridors are very tiny and narrow. The very deliberate placement of the contours of these hallways, they visually appear to extend much farther into the distance than they really do.
One of the main reasons why we've been able to do Hypernauts is the fact that there are a whole bunch of people who are out there who've been working on some great shows for years and years and years, but they've always been nitpicked to death. What we've done with Hypernauts is we've given them the creative freedom to try out some of the ideas that they've never had a chance to do before. And as such, they tend to put in 150%.
Would you mind involving a little acting into this?
I will give it my best shot.
Because you know what?
It's a stretch.
Those cobblestones only get you so far, baby.
It makes, I think, it makes for a better environment as far as creativity and feeling comfortable. I mean, if you don't feel like you're going to get yelled at, you feel kind of more like maybe going out on a limb and trying something different without being really criticized negatively, So there's a little bit more creative freedom to come up with a lot more original ideas. And I think as the show, goes along, I think we'll be able to kind of play more and maybe do some wilder stuff.
We are providing the best material that we possibly can. We're providing the most exciting, the most intricate effects that we've ever done. It's extremely cool to be working on something like this.
The beauty of doing a show with someone like Ron Thornton is that I know I can ask for some amazing scene or some spectacular effect, and I will not only get that, but I'll probably get more than I ever imagined. There are people who don't know much about science fiction who think they can just put spaceships and aliens into it and it becomes science fiction, but it's much more than that, because true science fiction is about ideas, it's about concepts, it's about looking at the universe in a new way.
A good designer should be able to design in any genre, but science fiction's always been something I've loved all my life. I think Hypernauts is an attempt to do for children something like the original Star Trek series, where you're telling stories that don't belittle the viewer.
So many of the people involved in Hypernauts are people that work together through Babylon. That basically it's like a big family right now. I mean, I hate to say that; it sounds so cliche, but it's true. I mean, it's just people that we're all familiar with. We all know each other's strengths and weaknesses and everything. And there's a certain amount of camaraderie. I think the big thing with both Ron and Steve is they're big fans of this kind of stuff. I mean, if we weren't working on it, we'd be watching it. Ron grew up watching things like Thunderbirds and Blake 7, and same with me and Steve. We all just have fun doing this stuff. So we're not just in it just to make the money or just to make a name for ourselves. We're in it because we have fun playing with this kind of stuff.
I think my wish for Hypernauts is that it'll be the next standard that everybody's got to be in terms of Saturday morning. And I think we stand a really good chance of that.